I recently found a creepypasta that was, for a while, lost media. I had originally read it on around 2009, and while I didn't remember the specifics, I remember one scene vividly. A guy murders a woman by stuffing her feet first into a wood chipper. The idea was that the woman would suffer in agony until she died. The extra level of cruelty always haunted me, which is probably why the story would pop into my head every so often for years to come. I would try to look it up from time to time, but with no luck. The Creepypasta wiki didn't have it, neither did creepypasta.com or .org. I couldn't even find it on Wattpad. All I can find were details of some of the murder case from a long time ago. I ended up putting the story out of my head for a while, thinking I just made it up or imagined it. Then a couple of years back, I hear of a story called Cameraheads. For those who don't know, Cameraheads was a creepypasta posted around 2009 on that ended up being lost for over a decade. Around 2020, a search started that ended with the original story plus an associated video being found. I realized that if Cameraheads can be found, then maybe this wood chipper story would also be out there. Inspired by this, I made posts on lost media forums, checking every thread and wiki I could find, and pushed the Wayback Machine to its limits. Unfortunately, none of this got me anywhere. All I found were dead links, unarchived pages, and mentions of that murder case. I kept searching for weeks with no luck. Just when I was about to give up, I got an email from someone going by the name of Chipper. The only thing that they sent me was a PNG file named Admission. Opening it up, I saw that it was a screen cap of a thread from 2009. I took a closer look at it and realized that this was the story that I was actually looking for. I sent the image to some folks that I met during the search to make sure that it was authentic. They assured me that it was the real deal. After that, I sent an email thanking Chipper, though I didn't even receive any response. Now, I'm not going to provide a copy of the story in its entirety here. You will see why shortly. I will say that the story was a lot more graphic and descriptive than I remember. The woman in the story was described very vividly. Black hair, dark skin, a scar on her left cheek, green eyes, 190 pounds, and 5'8". The wood chipper element did happen, but the killer stopped it right before it got to the victim's head, and used the head for, well, I'd rather not say. I like to pride myself on having a strong stomach and not being too bothered by the things I read, but even I was getting a bit sick from reading what was done with that severed head. After finishing the story, the initial excitement of finally finding it was replaced by disgust about the actual contents of the story. Maybe it was better off lost. Weirdly enough, I felt a weird sort of familiarity that I couldn't place. It wasn't a sense that I read this exact story on before. It was more feeling that I had read these exact details somewhere else before. This feeling nagged at me for a couple of days as I tried to rack my brains and remember why this felt so familiar. I ended up checking out some of the earlier keywords that I used during the search, which led me to the case of Marilyn Branson. Her story started as a missing person case. Her missing person poster showed a picture of a woman with dark skin, black hair, a scar on her left cheek, and green eyes. The height and weight listed were 5'8" and 190 pounds respectively. The search ended after a year when a couple camping in the woods stumbled upon a wood chipper next to an abandoned cabin. The wood chipper was covered in dried blood, and in the cabin there was a decomposing head. Police were called, and tests were ran on the head and blood, confirming that they were Branson's. There was also, police noted, DNA around the face and the mouth of the severed head, but they were unable to identify whom it belonged to. The case went cold, and to this day no one knows who killed Marilyn Branson. The strangest thing is, though, that Marilyn Branson went missing in 2010. Her head was found in 2011. The story I read posted in 2009. Was this all a coincidence, or did the person who wrote the story predict what would happen to Marilyn Branson? And how could they have predicted something so specific unless they actually did it? Was this a story, a warning, a threat, a fantasy that was eventually acted upon? And finally, there was the question that had been gnawing at me since I received the email. Was Crippr the one who actually wrote the story? Did Crippr kill Marilyn Branson? Unsettled by this, I decided to forward this information to the FBI. Chances are it probably wouldn't even amount to much. All I had was a story, a weird coincidence, and an email address. But I had to do something. If I had the key to solving a decade-old murder and did nothing with it, I wouldn't be able to live with myself. After sending in the tip, I tried putting the case out of my mind and moving on with my life, which I was actually able to do for a while. I went to work, caught up with some things, some shows, hung out with some friends. The word wood chipper didn't even cross my mind. I convinced myself I would never have to hear about this ever again. Then, today, I got another email from Crippr. The subject line was simply, snitch. The email itself featured a story in which the narrator gruesomely tortures somebody for days on end before finally dumping their victim's half-alive body into a wood chipper. Now, like in the last story, the victim in this one was very vividly described. However, the victim wasn't Marilyn Branson. This victim, for instance, had brown eyes like me. As I read on, I realized with a growing sense of unease that the victim and I actually had a lot in common. We had the same color hair and skin color. We were the same height and same weight. Hell, we even shared the same scar above our left ear and the same birthmark on our back. I knew this story was about me, and that knowledge filled me with terror. But what truly terrified me was the story's final line. See you soon. I draw porn for folks who pay me money. Honestly, it's not the worst way to make a few bucks. People are gonna be horny, and if you have the stomach for it, they'll pay you to indulge in their weird kinks. If you're lucky, you can get commissioned by a suspiciously wealthy furry and have your rent paid for a few months. Sure, you've gotta draw their 7-foot wolf OC farting on Pikachu, but hey, money's money. I've dealt with all kinds of weird fetishes and kinks as a part of my career. Farting, pissing, scat, burping, eggland, hypermuscles, inflation, guru, sounding, vorer, diapers, and feet, just to name a few. At this point, I know the designs and anatomy of the Overwatch gals and rolled the back like the back of my hand. I have limits though. No kids and political figures. Lowly grosses me out, and the thought of drawing a naked Donald Trump makes me want to puke. Other than that, I'm pretty amenable to most things. I'm bringing all of this up to make it very clear that I've got a strong stomach for people's kinks. I'm not someone who looks at DeviantArt groups like Hypnosis Feet and thinks, truly these people are disgusting generous and their kink is a sin. Although to be fair, the foot fetishists are degenerates, but mainly because they're super annoying. So with all of that established, let me tell you about the guy whose commission scared the shit out of me. It all started a few weeks back when I was scrolling through Twitter when I get a message from someone going by Woody Chuck. "Hello, I would like a commission," they said. I told them my prices. Woody Chuck was willing to pay and told me their commission idea. I want a picture of a naked woman in a wood chipper. She needs to be inserted feet first. She's in her hips, so only her torso upwards is visible. She needs to look like she's in pain. Like, a lot of pain. Okay, that's a new one, I'll admit. I've done gore stuff, but the wood chipper thing isn't something I've been asked to do before. Hell, I don't even think that I've even seen anything like that before. I've decided not to let it bother me though. I've been asked to do erotic Saki Sanabachi fan art before. A wood chipper isn't too over the line. I asked Woody Chuck for more details. How should the woman look? What background did they want? That sort of thing. Woody Chuck replied that the woman should be slightly chubby, have dark skin, black hair, green eyes, and a scar on her left cheek. The background should be an abandoned cabin. I said okay, and asked for payment. I like to get payment first, as I'd rather not spend hours doing Sonic the Hedgehog inflation picture only for some smuck to just ghost me. which has happened before. Woody Chuck did pay me though. I got some money from a PayPal account with the email chipper@yahoo.com, mail to chipper@yahoo.com, and then I got to work. Over the course of a week, I sent Woody Chuck various sketches and images of my progress as commission progress. Honestly, Woody Chuck was a bit of an annoying client. They kept asking for last-minute changes and would sometimes want me to redo an aspect of the image that they already approved. Sure, they weren't the worst client that I've ever dealt with, but they weren't my favorite kind of client either. Eventually, though, the picture was done and they were happy with it. I was happy with my money and went about my day while Woody Chuck probably jerked off to the wood chipper picture. Hey, no judgments here. The next day, I got a message from Woody Chuck asking for another commission. Another wood chipper picture, but this time with a different woman. Also, this woman was to be bleeding, half alive, and missing all of her fingernails and teeth. The word snitch should be written in blood on her chest. I agreed to do it, and after getting payment, I worked on the commission. Woody Chuck was a bit more annoying this time around and demanding constant changes. They kept saying, "No, that's not how missing fingernails look," or "You're doing it wrong." Finally, after a week of back and forth, they said, "I'll just send you a reference picture." I was sent a low-res picture of a woman tied to a chair. Her mouth hung open, revealing that she was missing her teeth. Blood was caked up around her mouth and ran down her face. Her brown eyes were bloodshot and her makeup was running. Her fingernails been removed with her fingernails still bleeding. The blood stained the chair's wooden armrests and the ropes tied around her arms to the chair. She was topless with the word snitch written in blood, most likely her own. What the hell? I thought. A part of me hoped that it was just a frame from a movie or some obscure porn or something like that. Sure, the camera quality was bad, but maybe that was a stylistic theme from wherever this was from, right? I did a reverse search on it. Nothing showed up. Maybe it was AI? I hated AI art and would always be disappointed to see that sort of thing. But in this case, I'd be happy to find out some goober used Midjourney to make a gore picture instead of, well, I didn't want to think about that alternative. I took another look at the picture. Holding back my disgust, I focused on the fingers. 5 of them each, all in the right place. The style wasn't the overdone, uncanny, almost realistic look that a lot of AI images had. Nothing about the face seemed off in an uncanny sort of way. And the eyes. I don't think AI could replicate the look in those brown eyes. Those were genuine fear in there. There was no way this was AI. Shit. Okay, I told myself, calm down, just ask Woody Chuck what this is. Maybe it's just an art project or a frame from a movie they made. Just write back a calm, logical message and get to the bottom of whatever this is. "What the hell is this?" I wrote back. Reference. "What's this from?" Me. This guy's got to be messing with me, right? I mean, sure, the picture looked realistic and sure, I couldn't find anything like this anywhere else. And yeah, it wasn't AI generated. But it's not like this guy actually tortured a person, then sent proof of it to some porn artist for commission. I bet it's just some inside joke that I don't get because I'm not part of the wood chipper guru community. Maybe if I was more plugged in, I'd get it. I did a quick search for woman in wood chipper, which led me to an image of a murder victim named Marilyn Branson, a woman who looked like the woman that I drew in Woody Chuck's first commission. A woman who died in a similar way to what I drew. I don't scare easily. Slender Man and Michael Myers and Jeffrey Dahmer aren't as scary when you draw them in a 3-way. This, though, this was scaring the shit out of me. I looked more into Marilyn Branson stuff, eventually coming up upon a lost media hunt for some old creepypasta. I found a post where someone found the old creepypasta after getting it from a person called Chipper. I thought of Woody Chuck's PayPal email, and the pieces began falling into place. The OP of the post mentioned getting an email with the subject line snitch that ended with the phrase, "See you soon." The picture Woody Chuck sent me showed a picture with snitch written on her chest. The OP mentioned they had brown eyes, and I remembered the horrified, bloodshot brown eyes of a woman in the picture. I sat back, stunned. A part of me kept hoping it was an ARG or that it was some logical, reasonable explanation. But I knew the truth. This was real. I didn't know what to do. I wanted to send this information to the cops or the FBI or whoever, but the OP did the same exact thing, and look where she ended up. I wanted to keep quiet, pretend this was fake, and just finish the commission and never think about this again. I couldn't though. I couldn't let a sick creep like this keep killing people. However, I didn't particularly want to die either. I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to think about this. I couldn't deal with this. So I did the only logical thing. I went to a bar and got blackout drunk. This all happened yesterday. I don't remember what happened last night. All I know is that I woke up back at home with one hell of a hangover. I went to the bathroom and threw up, then collapsed on a cold tile floor. My phone buzzed. While I was rifling through my pocket to get it, I felt a random piece of paper and some sharp things. Weird. I don't remember those things being in my pocket when I left. I grabbed one of those sharp things. It was oblong and the bottom was caked in what looked like blood. It kind of reminded me of a fingernail. Confused and worried, I took them all out. There were at least 10 in total, and all of them were caked in blood. Oh no. With a growing sense of dread, I took out that piece of paper and read it. Good to see you in person. I'm really loving your art. Hope that Uber I paid for you got you home safe. Finish the commission, or I'll be seeing you again real soon. My name is Naomi Lopez. 13 years ago, my girlfriend was kidnapped, tortured, and murdered. I killed her murderer. This is my confession. My girlfriend's name was Marilyn Branson. We met back in 2007 when we were both in college. We had a pretty classic meetup. Cute story, actually. We both were walking along holding a ton of overpriced textbooks when we accidentally walked into each other. We both dropped our books and fell on our butts. Sorry, she said. No, it's okay. I'm sorry, I replied. No, it's okay, she said back. We kept talking over each other, profusely trying to apologize and stop. Marilyn laughed. She had this cute little laugh that even back then made my heart melt. I immediately fell in love with her. Turns out we both had intro to psychology together. Despite our initial awkward meeting, we became fast friends. I think it only took a few months for us to actually start dating. She had to keep it quiet from her family since she wasn't out of her folks' place yet. As far as they knew, I was just their daughter's really close friend, Naomi. Marilyn loved music. She was probably the most talented pianist that I'd ever heard. Watching her play was like incredible. Her fingers danced across the keys with a natural ease. She was able to make up lyrics for a song that she played, melding both lyrics and instruments on the fly. It was incredible. She was incredible. It's funny, the first time I saw her play, my very first thoughts was, I am so glad that she's good with her fingers. Marilyn also loved bouncy castles. I remember one of our first dates we went to one together. I was a bit shy about it since it was kind of for kids, but she encouraged me. Watching how happy she was, hearing that cute little laugh again, I joined in. That was probably the happiest moment of my life. We were together for 3 years and I had never been happier. Every night we'd come back to our apartment from classes, have a nice dinner, then go to bed together. Every morning I'd wake up to see her face illuminated in the glow of the sun, and all I can think of was how much I loved her. Then, one night in 2010, she didn't come back home. She didn't say she wouldn't be back, which was very unlike her. I called her. I got no response. I was worried, but I hoped it was nothing. The next morning, she still wasn't there. Her friends hadn't seen her. Her family hadn't heard from her. I wasn't sure whether or not to call the cops. She was missing, sure, but could I trust the cops to look for a black lesbian? After 48 hours, though, I broke down and I called them. 3 showed up. 2 of them asked me questions while the other just stood there awkwardly in the corner. They didn't find much, No sign of any foul play. The last person to see her was a classmate who said that she seemed to be heading home. No footage was found of anyone taking her. No random note, no evidence, nothing. Marilyn was outed to her family during the investigation. I don't know who did it. All I know is that they didn't take it well. The Bransons had been like a second family to me. My parents had thrown me out after I came out, and having them scream at me and blame me for what happened to Marilyn killed me. I saw a missing person poster. This wonderful, complex person was broken down into a few base components. Black hair, dark skin, scar on her left cheek, green eyes, 190 pounds, and 5'8". They didn't know about her laugh, or her musical skills, or the way she bit her bottom lip when she was thinking. I guess that's why I'm writing all of this. Marilyn Branson was more than just a series of physical characteristics, more than just a victim. And I want everyone who thinks of her to remember that. However, I was able to graduate. My GPA was shit due to my exhaustion from nights of staying up, hoping against hope for a call from Marilyn. But I still put in the work to graduate. I knew Marilyn would have wanted me to. 2 days after my graduation in 2011, I heard what happened to Marilyn. I spent the first few hours crying in the bathtub, then 2 days laying in bed. I'd wake up every morning to find myself alone. Weeks passed. A funeral was held for Marilyn. I wasn't even invited. Months passed. I tried to move on. I tried to get a job. I tried to make friends. After a few years, I tried dating again, but it never worked out. I just couldn't move on from Marilyn. I thought about her constantly. I thought about that time in the bouncy castle. I thought about our laugh. I thought about finding the son of a bitch who murdered her and killed him with my bare hands. The police stopped searching, but I never did. I tried finding cases that were similar to Marilyn's. Dead body in a wood chipper, head used as, well, nothing. I tried finding unsolved cases near where Marilyn was missing and was found. Nothing was similar. Just a lot of mentions of Fargo and some things here and there about some old creepypasta. I really wish I followed up on a creepypasta lead. By the time I realized it was about Marilyn, the person who posted it wouldn't respond. I later find out she died, killed by the same son of a bitch who took Marilyn. Before this woman died, though, she left behind one key piece of information: Crippr. I didn't know if it was the guy's email address. The email provider wasn't listed, but it was something. Maybe he's used this as a username everywhere else. Maybe this could be a lead. I spent the next week trying to find anything with this lead. I was hoping for a name or address, but I settled on an email address at least. I didn't find it though, just scattered comments left by Crippr on various fetish message boards talking about its wood chipper fetish. Some of these dated back to 2008, 2 years before Marilyn was kidnapped. How long has this guy been planning something like this? I also discovered that Crippr had been commissioning art from his wood chipper murders for years. It wasn't an easy find, but it was around. It was also absolutely disgusting. After those commissions, those artists stopped posting. A few days ago, I got another lead. Some porn artist had an interaction with Crippr. I messaged this guy as soon as I could, hoping I'd get a response. "Hey," I said, "I'm Marilyn Branson's girlfriend. I've spent years trying to find this Crippr guy. Can you help me?" This guy, who I'll call Art, replied, "Help you what? Die?" "No, help me stop him." "Oh, well, yeah, that's because that worked out so well for the last person who did that." "What do you think he'll let you live if you keep quiet and make his horny little doodle? He'll still kill you. He's been doing this for over a decade. I'm offering you a chance to stop this guy, then maybe you won't die." Art didn't respond for a few minutes. I thought I might have pushed him a little too hard. Then I got another message from him. Fine. Art sent me what he'd gotten for Crippr, including a picture of the woman he tortured. The background of the image had a window, and through it I could see a black truck. Art and I spent days planning on how to stop Crippr. The plan we came up was too risky, and it took a lot for me to convince Art to follow through with it, but it was the best shot we had. We both knew that Crippr knew where Art lived and had no intention of letting him live. He couldn't break into Art's house, though. That'd be too obvious and leave too much of a trail. Judging by what Crippr did earlier, he'd probably ambush Art somewhere out of the way. Perhaps a local dive bar. Yeah, like where he found Art. That, we realized, might be a good place to ambush him instead. With that, our plan was set up. Art finished Chipper's commission, and then went back to the bar where Crippr first met him. I came in the bar a little bit later, and stayed away from Art while still keeping an eye on him. Art, meanwhile, got absolutely hammered. The plan wasn't for him to get drunk. I just think he wanted to. I kept my hand in my coat pocket, grabbed tightly around the revolver I brought with me. I bought it about a decade ago. I'd hope I'd be able to use it tonight. The hours ticked by, and Art got more and more incoherent. It was starting to seem like our play was starting to fail. Then someone new walked in. The bartender, upon seeing this new arrival, said, "Hey, Officer Duggan, how are you?" "I'm alright, Chet. Just came by to get my buddy home," Duggan said, grabbing Art. "His wife is pretty worried about him, you know." Art slurred out something, probably saying he wasn't married. Duggan laughed. "Alright, come on, bud. Let's get you home." Duggan pulled Art off of the bar stool and dragged him outside. I followed behind them. Once outside, I saw that Duggan was dragging Art to the truck, the same black truck from the picture. I heard Duggan say, "I told you I'd see you soon, didn't I? I can't wait to see what you look like inside of a wood chipper." That was it. It was him. The son of a bitch was Crippr. He was a cop all along. I pulled my revolver from my coat pocket, holding the cold metal of the gun in a white-knuckled grip. Duggan heard the cocking of the gun and stopped. "Pulling a gun on a cop? Really?" he asked. He turned around and I immediately recognized him. He was one of the cops who came to investigate Marilyn's disappearance after I called 911. He was the awkward one who stayed in a corner. This bastard probably tampered with evidence. He's why it took a year to find Marilyn. He's why no one could find out who killed Marilyn, even though his cum was smeared all over her face. A part of me wanted to ask, why did he do this? Why did he kill Marilyn? A part of me wanted to scream profanities at him. A part of me wanted him to monologue like a cheesy supervillain, revealing his evil schemes and dastardly plans. The biggest part of me, though, the one screaming in my head, just wanted to kill this bastard. I wanted to say that pulling the trigger was hard, that I had a moment of hesitation. I want to say that I saw his humanity for one brief second. I want to say that I thought, no, he must stand trial for his crimes. I want to pretend that I felt a bit of mercy. None of that was true, though. I had no hesitation. I had no mercy. I pulled the trigger and watched my bullet bury inside of his chest. Duggan fell, gasping, as blood started to spread around the wound. The bartender came out, hearing the gunshot, and upon seeing a woman holding a gun in front of a dying officer and a drunk guy, ran to call the cops. I didn't chase him. Why would I? The cops came quickly and took me in. They made sure to be as violent about it as possible. I'm genuinely surprised none of them tried to kill me. Officer Duggan would die a half an hour later. I learned that tons of erotic wood chipper art was found on Duggan's computer, and that the severed head of Gwen Monroe, a woman who had posted online about an old creepypasta she found, was discovered in his trunk. I didn't expect this to exonerate me. I expected him to be treated as a hero in the media. Some Fox News asshole was going to declare him a hero while I'm going to become a monster, some Antifa goon or violent leftist. You will hear about how Duggan was a good cop, and every news anchor would talk about the old ladies he helped across the street while neglecting the fact that he threw them into wood chippers. If his murders do come up, they'll be dismissed as mental illness or fake news. What you won't hear about is Marilyn Branson. You won't hear about her smile, her laughter, her talent, or her love of bouncy castles. You won't hear about a woman named Naomi Lopez who loved her with all of her heart. I guess that's why I'm writing this. I want you to know, I want Marilyn Branson to be more than just a missing person poster. She'll always be more to me. I hope when all of this is over, I can finally see her once again. Good evening, everyone. This is Yuri K, and this is the end of the video. Please leave a comment and let us know your opinions on the matter. If you happen to like this content, please check out our other videos. Make sure you like and share amongst your friends and family to help our community grow. You happen to be new to this channel? Please make sure you subscribe. It's free, and you can always change it in the future. You have some terrifying story suggestions? If so, make sure that you send it to my email, fearofthedarkstories@gmail.com, and I'll feature it in a future segment. But you guys stay safe out there, and remember to always be afraid of the dark.